10 seconds.
Welcome to Comic Book Spectrum, a Rising Tide Broadcast Network production. Get ready to explore the world of comics, past, present, and future, with our panelists Eric Hawkins, Brian Rodman, and Clyde Hall. And now here's your host, Brian K. Morris.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome to issue 21 of Comic Book Spectrum. Glad you're with us. Hope you're having a good week so far. Hope your trip to the comic shop went well. And over the next hour plus, we're going to be reviewing some comics and talking about some other stuff going on in the industry, and maybe having a chortle or three. Anyway, as always, we want to thank the people that keep this show going, and one of whom is our usual sponsor. We love you, Jeffrey Hayes, and thank you to Plasma Fire Graphics. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you. You want to turn the casual onlooker into one of your customers? Then you need a great cover for your wraparound book or your comic book even. Or if you need some graphics to help you sell it, or a beautiful trailer like you just saw there, then you need to talk to Jeffrey Hayes at Plasma Fire Graphics, because he can whip that up for you at independent publisher prices. Very affordable, very talented, as you can see. And in fact, he did the cover to my latest book, Snow Ambition, number 4 in the Snow Short series, available on Amazon for only 99 cents, so check it out. But anyway, check out their Facebook page and plasmafiregraphics.com, where you can contact Jeffrey Hayes directly and put him to work for you. Remember, Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you, because it matters to your readers. And we also want to thank our Patreon subscribers. Patreon is a monthly subscription service where you can support your favorite creators directly. And notice all these names on here, they have their own pages too. So if you have a love for any of them, please drop them a couple dollars and you'll get something for it. We offer a whole bunch of stuff on our Patreon subscription page, so please check it out at www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris for more details. And talk about details, we got them at the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. Please give our Facebook page a like if you would. And we've got all kinds of really cool stuff, all entertaining, all a little bit of an informational too. Today you got to see Ted Davies talking about his favorite timepieces, as well as he and Carl Witzman talking about cigar appreciation. And then later tonight at 9 p.m., we're going to have Joe Dog McKeel and the Skunk Rocker, Dan, John, Heather, probably Bill, and whoever else they can rope into doing the show. But anyway, they're going to be doing Stupid O'Clock, the most intelligent, funniest show on the network, in fact, on the whole interweb. So please check it out, and stay tuned when it's over for Last Man Standing with the great Dan Hollifield. And then tomorrow morning, we will have another full day of broadcasting, starting with Nevermind the Furthermore at 10 a.m. So please check it out. And also go back and check out some of the stuff we've been doing this week, such as the premiere of The Truth Mongers with Ted Davies and Glenn B. Fleming. It was a terrific show, and I think you'll like it. If you like conspiracy theories and the like, it's the show for you. And speaking of the show for you, we are about to launch that dang thing. We thank everyone for waiting, and here we are. I'm going to unmute everyone because they've all got something to say, I'm sure. The charming and lovely trio of Clyde Hall, Eric S. Hawkins, and Brian the Beard Rodman. How are you all tonight?
Splendiferous.
Cool.
That's a big word. Clyde's like, wait, let me just make sure. All right, yeah, we're good.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I still got something. So yeah, we're moving on to the end of the episode now. So yeah, we got some stuff this week. There was a lot of good stuff. I will say, and I think I've only left a couple things downstairs. Since what would have been, Brian? Friday night.
Yep.
Friday night. This is what I've picked up in the way of pop culture geeky stuff.
I can
Did
hear
you snuggle that in the house?
I can hear Cookie screaming from here.
Yeah. It's like she's downstairs changing the locks, and she's sending me to Heroes for Kids Con tomorrow in Perryville, Missouri. We're going to be at 800 Perry Park Center. Please come see us. He said subtly, putting that notice in there. But no, some of this, of course, was more precious than gold.
Woohoo!
Yeah,
I've seen that somewhere.
Look at this. I got the trade, folks. I got the trade. And I got like all the what we call floppies, but everybody knows there's nothing floppy about this. And also, I didn't even know this existed. Sagebrush and Tumbleweeds. And I love Westerns. And our own Mr. Rodman has some work in there. But I'll show you the rest of the stash here as we go on. But I think we ought to go around the room, and instead of me sucking all the air out of the atmosphere, I think we ought to let you guys have some too. Let's start with Clyde Hall, and we'll go around the room and introduce ourselves and tell everybody why we're so dang awesome. Let's start with Clyde. Here you go, sir.
All right. I'm Clyde Hall. I'm an independent author, and I'm a captain of infamy, and a Pulitzer Prize no prize winner, and beloved by tens of fans. Actually, I haven't been writing that long, but I have been reviewing comic books for about 4 years, first on doomrocket.com and now here on Comic Book Spectrum. I do have some short stories currently in publication in Pulp Reality #1 and Pulp Reality #2, both from Stormgate Press, both available on Amazon, or you can go to www.stormgatepress.com and see not only those that are for sale, but also the latest adventures, more coming very soon, of Captain Hawkins by Charles F. Milhouse, and all of the good things, including many things that Brian has written also for Stormgate Press. So check us out. You can follow me on Facebook. I'm on Twitter at Clyde Hall 1984, and also on Facebook I have a site called Radiating Positive Vibes with author Clyde Hall. So if you like anything that you hear here today, be sure to follow up and like and subscribe, as they say.
Excellent. Thank you, Clyde. Yay! And here's his Clyde's Legion of Admirer. The one, the only, we can only hope, Eric S. Hawkins. Eric, tell everybody how amazing you are.
I'm pretty amazing. Really amazing. I'm Eric S. Hawkins. I'm the creator of the Zombie Fool World of Oz. If you look behind me, there's 3 issues on the wall there. And actually, there's usually another comic up there. I must took it down for some reason. But everything back there I've worked on. I got like 3 more over there I've worked on. So I've been doing the comic books since, I guess it's 2005 when Brian and I hooked up.
That sounds right.
Somewhere around there, we started working together and doing a few things. So my ash can showed up this week.
Yeah.
But my prints were shorted from the shipment.
Boom!
So I contacted them. They go, well, I showed they just arrived 20 minutes ago. I said, yes, a box arrived, but the prints weren't in them. I misunderstood what you said. Oh, okay. So I got tracking number the next day. They show up tomorrow. So I start shipping out. So I guess Sunday, because I'll be at Heroes for Kids in Perryville, Missouri, Saturday.
Yay!
Excellent.
If you you back the book, there's one of the sketch covers I'm working on right now. I've got 13 of those to do and 30 sketch cards. But if you were a bare bones, by tomorrow morning. If you're a bare bones backer, back the book without any of the extras with it. Those went out today, and if you were a digital only backer, those went out 2 days ago. So I'll start sending out the digital rewards to the backers that have the extra stuff and the physical stuff, and then we'll be good to go and start working on issue 4 or something else or something. I don't know.
Excellent. Look forward to spending Saturday with you, my friend.
Yeah, it should be great.
Yeah, and somebody I spent last weekend with, doesn't that sound seedy, is the one, the only Mr. Excitement himself, Brian Rodman. Brian, introduce yourself to the 1 or 2 people in the whole universe who may not know who you are.
All right. Well, I am Brian Rodman from brianrodman.com, and I make them their funny books called Memoirs of an Angel, in case you haven't seen them already. And I also am finishing up my brand new first issue of my brand new series, The Nebulizer, which is a post-apocalyptic action comedy about a chronic asthmatic who fights through a post-apocalyptic world filled with allergen mutants. It's ridiculous, and it's fun. And you should go to brianrodman.com and check it all out. And I'm excited. I'm really excited to talk about the comic I read this week. So, yeah, glad to be here.
We will get to it, sir. I promise. And also, let's see. And yes, I know Brian Hawkins. I cut and paste stuff just to save me time. And apparently, I should do it when I'm sober, because I just noticed we're at Clever Title Pending. I will fix that. I can fix that in the rewrite. So I know. So anyway, but it will work because Brian Rodman was on last Tuesday's Clever Title Pending. Brian is. People are going to be like, "Do you have anybody but Brian?" And I'm like, "No, I don't."
You know why? Because you don't need anybody.
We
else,
see Brian so much. When I was outside seasoning my new grill, Jennifer comes out. "What you doing?" I said, "I'm just seasoning the grill, having a beer, and watching Brian." And he goes, "Oh, why is Eric on there?" I'm like, "I'm Eric. It's Brian."
Oh, yeah, Eric is Mr. Rodman's porn name, but anyway, one of many. Anyway,
good porn name to have.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, porn sack. Anyway, I'm Brian K. Morris. I'm the only one who will admit to it, and I'm also a writer. I'm in Pulp Reality 1 and 2 also, and I also have my own line of books, starting with Sandestein, Volcana, the books on Bachelor's Grove, the original Skyman, all kinds of stuff like that. And I am excited to be here as well, because we're going to talk about one of my passions, and that's funny books. And let's start with the comments, I think, and get everybody introduced. Hello, programs. Hello, greetings, programs. Hello, Brian. Hope you're doing well. Ted Davies, pleasure seeing you. Check out Ted Davies' great programs on the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. And Doris Jones, Labors of Love. Mwah. So happy to see you here tonight. And the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, Arise, Thursday Night Morris Monster, Arise. Mission accomplished. Anyway, glad you're here. And anyway, I think it's time we launch, or actually, I shouldn't have said that.
How dare you?
See? Anyway, she's our new spokesmodel. Anyway, I think it's time that we launch into the reviews.
Let's do it.
Let's do reviews. Oh, that's neat, Eric.
Oh, my glasses, yeah. Oh, wait.
Witchcraft.
Wow!
Holy. And
since you centered on me, do you want me to go first?
Oh, sure. After that, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, first,
now.
Okay. So I know what Clyde's reviewing. I know what Mr. Morris is reviewing, some kind of DC book probably. But
how does he do it?
But what's Brian reviewing? I want to make sure we're not reviewing the same book.
I don't think we're reviewing the same book.
Okay, I bought a weird book.
I still don't think you.
Okay,
I don't think. I think
there's weird, and then there's weird, Eric.
So this week, I only picked up a couple books, and one of them I felt probably wouldn't be. I don't know, might not be good to review on the show because there was just a lot of nudity in it when I just thumbed through it. So this one's God Killer. I haven't read it yet, but it's by Black Mask. There's basically almost nudity on the cover there.
Send me the link.
Yeah, but
so
my comics.
Basically, what you're saying, Eric, is that it was Nudie Magazine Day for you.
Yes. My comic shop, Heroic Adventures in Edwardsville, Illinois, now has a little section of last week's number ones, and that's where I saw that one. So they put all the last week's number ones right in a little end cap, and it looks pretty cool. Some stuff I didn't see that last week, so I picked it up this week. But this week, I'm going to review Beyond the Reach by Aftershock, number one. $4.99. And it is by Ed Bryson, Damian Cochero, Patricio Del Pecci, Hassan Atsmane Allahu, and I just can't go on.
That was excellent.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's one.
Charles
Pritchett. That's an easy one. He did the What's a back matter design?
Now we're
Matter.
just making up roles.
Yeah, no, that's a public. That's in books. Back matter is usually stuff like let me get on the screen here. I think it's basically the stuff that's in the back of the book, like a paperback. I am trying to see if I was clever enough to do this 9 years ago. Yes. Hold on a second. This is the learning place. I don't mean to interrupt you, Eric, but yeah,
no, of course not.
In the back of great books. Don't buy them unless they got back matter. But it's things like about the author.
I was about to say it's a blank page. I don't.
Well, yeah,
I can design
where
that
he can
easy.
find you, where you can be found, and of course, at least one of these websites is no longer around, and acknowledgments, and it's just basically stuff that doesn't belong in the front of the book, like a title page or the legalese or the table of contents, but it's acknowledgments and other stuff that hopefully will get people to buy your book. So anyway,
So probably that.
Exactly.
So that spectacular page about all the creators was created by Charles Pritchett, the one with the easiest name to pronounce, and he didn't even put himself in here. That's so sad.
Oh.
Well, Beyond the Breach by Aftershock is not an all-age book. There's no nudity, but the language. I mean, we start out with F you, Tristan. I mean, those are the first 3 words on page 1.
I like it already.
And then,
okay,
on the first 2 pages, here's another F, another F.
This comic is brought to you by the letter F.
So basically, Vanessa has decided to leave her. I'm not sure if it's her husband or boyfriend, but I think it's her husband, because she found out he was sleeping with her sister while she was in the hospital while her mom was dying of cancer. So that's where all the F-bombs come out. And he keeps sending her messages.
1 panel 2.
Yeah. So he keeps sending her text messages, and she's basically talked to herself. But one of my favorite, I'll omit the F-bomb here, little exchanges she has is F you in your ass-scratching, finger-sniffing face, in your tooth-picking with your toenail-clipping mouth. Jesus, and to think I put my tongue in that mouth.
I hate it when the character holds back frustration.
Yeah.
Subtle writing there.
Vanessa here, she's finally getting away from her piece of crap husband and apparently sister as well. Then she's getting all happy. Then all this happens. Some kind of breach in space, the space-time continuum. Something happens, and all the cars around her and hers are devastated. And that's where it actually kicks off right there, because it's not just the cars are all devastated. There's all these creatures that are around now eating the other passengers, including the parents of this poor kid who's stuck in his car. Well, there's another F-bomb. but these creatures have jumped out of space or wherever they came from, and they're eating all the passengers, and they're just going nuts. And you got blood, and you got gore. So she's trying to escape all this when she obviously finds out, there's a kid in the car, so she has to go help. So she gets in the car, and the kid, obviously he's got to know his parents were just eaten alive outside, but all he's doing is whining and crying, I want my mommy, I want my daddy, I don't want to go.
Such compassion.
Just like a kid would do. I mean, it is just like a kid would do.
Me too.
But so she finally talks him into escaping the car. They make a run for a little shed, but you don't realize right away there's these other creatures until they make the run for the shed, because she grabs a stick from one of them, and it's these little. They're almost like little cat creatures, but they seem to be fighting the monsters.
Well, yeah.
So she grabs one of them and his stick and heads for the woods, or for the shed. Well, it's actually, I guess, a bathroom, outhouse looking thing. The little creature, he discovers a toilet. He doesn't like it. But she's finally convinced him your parents are probably not doing too well. Then all of a sudden, little Dougie's the kid's name. You hear a scream from outside, Dougie. He goes, that's my dad. Then Vanessa hears her name in her sister's voice. Dougie runs outside, and this big old thing's waiting for him there. And still talking to him like he's his son.
That's excellent.
That's sweet.
So, of course, he snatches him up, and this is where the book ends. Dougie in the mouth of a monster.
Yes!
And you got the little cat guy, or whatever. I can't wait to find out what these guys are. Because they're cool.
So basically your comic this week is just F them kids.
Well, it's I started reading, I was like, oh, Jesus, started out with the F-bomb. Oh, my God. Oh, there's another one. They just kept going. But then when I read the situation, I was like, no, that's probably how most people would actually react.
Right.
Then, having kids, having grandkids, yes, that's exactly the way a kid's going to act in a car. And the way the story was told was very, except for the, space creatures and little cat monsters, was very realistic of, the situations, I thought. The story runs quick. It's I read it real quick, and there's a lot of words in there. It wasn't just it wasn't a berserker book where there's 3 words in the whole book. But I read it quick because it really grabbed my attention right away. And the art was good, the dialogue is good. It has F-bombs and probably more than I don't put them in books at all. So maybe I should start doing that. See the Scarecrow say that. I enjoyed this book a lot more than I thought I would. I was like, well, it's a number one. Let me check out, because I like buying the number ones by these different companies that I'm used to. This one being Aftershock. Now the price was $4.99, where most books about this size are going to be $3.99. That's the only downside to it. And plus, I didn't have to go online, Mr. Colin Bunn, to find out what the book was about. I was able to read it and get what's going on, except for the kitty cat creatures, because I don't know what they are, but I want to know. I'm going to give this book a 7 out of 10, only because, no book's perfect, and it really got to be super good to get perfect, but I really like this, and I will pick this up and probably add it to my pull list.
Very cool. Very cool indeed. That sounds... Once you get past all the craters from the F-bombs,
I was like, whoa.
Yeah, and I'm now hooked on that title, In the Mouth of a Monster, and I'm wondering if that has anything to do with the first comic you picked up.
It made me glad.
No, that was a God killer, and the art looked halfway decent in this. It looked good. I know that art
looked in that other one.
The art looked really good when I picked it up.
Ooh. And that's probably the only 2 pages he can show us.
No, it seemed like I thumbed right, and now I can't find it. Maybe no, there it is.
You should have handed it to me. I can zoom right in on that stuff. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so then they ripped something out of her stomach there. Ooh. But the art's really good in that. I will read it. It was just I didn't want to review it on here. Yeah.
I understand. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah. That's for the
Clyde,
late night show.
I noticed you were looking through some stuff. You had that book too?
Yeah. I picked this up on just kind of a fluke, and now he's made me glad that I got it. Thank you, Eric.
You're welcome.
One of the things about Aftershock, they do tend toward that $4.99 price, but they do have a little higher quality cover.
They do. The quality's really good. Yeah.
And the page quality of each one is, I think, probably of the indies, it's one of the best for retaining the beauty of the art and everything. So I don't mind paying, if it was a couple of dollars, maybe not, but $1 more.
Well, that's what kept me from getting the Flash annual. Mm-hmm. It was $7.99, but they had a cover with all the flashes drawn by Brett Booth. Wide, not the horizontal, but his landscape. I was like, ooh, I probably won't even read it. I just want it for the cover. So no. But, the Aftershock books, the ones I picked up, the quality's been great. A lot better than you find in a lot of Marvel and DC. There's books are really thin. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, now you talk about buying something because of the cover. Little aside here, I fought about one because I'm a big, and we mentioned it last week, maybe in the after show, but Rob Liefeld plots and draws this. I'm not saying I'll throw it across the room, but I am waiting for FAA clearance, if you know what I mean. But the one thing it does save it, though, Jerry Ordway.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Oh, heavens, yeah. I got the
didn't know
last
he was
copy
still
in my
alive.
shop.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah. He pops up every now and then. Some company, obviously it's not going to be DC Comics, but they ought to snap this guy up because he's a talented writer and artist. And if I had the money, by God, he'd be working for me. That's for sure.
I think they put him in cryogenic stasis, and then when they want him to do an art for a book, they bring him out.
Here's a cover. Yeah. It's still 1952. Those are the page rates.
Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah. Full on Demolition Man. It's good stuff.
Yeah. There we go. Everybody's listening to jingles from old radio ads now. Yeah. And I will say that you could tell Rob drew it.
Yeah.
And you can tell Rob plotted it.
Yeah.
Okay, but anyway, also we do pay attention to what each other buys. I did pick this up this week, and I haven't read it completely yet, but I've been very, very happy. I can't wait to do so. And let's get to the comments. We've got some comments already. And Doris Jones labors of love. Hi, Alton. Well, glad to see you here. And we talked to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS and Rising Tide Broadcast Network evening, gents. And there she is. Oh, we love her. Can't get enough of her. Sarah, oh yeah, I should have waited to text you, and now is the time to share about what I sent you last night, or maybe it needs to be in another show. Probably another show. Yeah.
Whoa.
Hey now.
Welcome to the best vague booking, and that's
Between
all you
and
get.
Eric, we need to put up the mature audiences only thing, I think. I'm not sure.
Yeah, hold on a second. Hold on a second.
I'm uncomfortable. I need an adult.
Okay, there we go. Okay, make room. There it is. And of course, well, we can talk about anything. In fact, we can talk about
Oh.
Yeah, so okay, maybe not. But anyway, that's our model now, our spokesmodel. But anyway, Kelly Austin, good to see you from our cohort from Pulp Reality. Hi everyone, it's me, the ever so elusive Shadow, the ghost who rarely makes an appearance these days, with a question, the Forum of Wisdom. In a comic market that continues to flood the book with not so good books, what do each of you consider to be the highlight of the comics industry from the last 10 years to the present? Let's take that question after the reviews. What do you say?
Sounds good.
Ooh.
All right, so stick around, Kelly. We're gonna take on your question. And from the desk of a small press publisher every Saturday at 10 p.m., check out that great interview show. It's the Roy G. Biv of comics, not to be confused with Belle Biv DeVoe, because all mainstream books are not poison, and not all independent comics do me right. Well, I hope they'll reprint some of that stuff, because I'm always looking for a new edition. Anyway, yeah, the old man is hip. All right, look out. And Sarah said, yes, please, more story time. I love it. So that's why we put the rated M for mature up there. And Chipper for Vanessa says the historical fencing kill Fridays at 8 p.m. Do check that show out. And well said, BR.
Well, thank you, Sarah.
Yes. And for this, he continues, books should be called Bombs Over F Words. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so if you want to pull the pin on this one, there's plenty of explosions to go. And Sarah says, we had no adult supervision. Texting back and forth last night. Mega dumpster fire of awesomeness. That's true. Sarah and I were talking last night via text, and some people's ears should be burning. And anyway, Comics Talk about it. Calm down, Brian. I just got here and had nothing to drink. Dear God. Oh, Pops, you are wandering into the minefield without any protection.
I think we need to fix that for him.
Exactly. I could get one for Eric. I keep forgetting. Damn it. Oh, he's got a better one. Never mind. Oh, that was for you, Pops Van Zandt. Check out Comics Talk and Comic Madness on YouTube with Pops Van Zandt, and also check out CromCon at the end of the month. That is a great time if you are into independent comic books, because he's got a whole bunch of people that do that stuff. And we love you, Pops. We're glad you're here. We're glad everyone's here. And also, please, if you think of it, please, if you enjoy any part of this, please give this show a like. If you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on YouTube, please give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe. In fact, I've got a banner that every now and then I remember to put on these shows. There we go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Anyway, so here we go. We are caught up. Hold on,
Pops!
there we go. Pops! Come on, StreamYard, catch up with me. Or don't. Anyway, who would like to go next?
Yes, please.
Oh, by all means, Mr. Rodman, please take the center stage if you would, please.
Before I review, I do have to give a huge shout out, which I'm pretty sure a more lengthy shout out is about to happen here soon. I received my copy of Floppy Cop, Volume 2, by Dan Darty and Seth DeMoose. And my goodness, I've started reading it. It's fantastic. It's from Source Point Press. It's available now. Guys, go pick it up. And I'm sure we'll talk more about it later. But gosh,
stick around, people. Stick around.
Absolutely. But what I'm reviewing this evening is another all ages book to counter Eric's book. There are zero F-bombs to be found.
Have you heard kids today? They drop more F-bombs than I do.
Wait, there's no F-bombs, but it's still pretty much F them kids. Like, my goodness. Spectre Inspectors by Boombox, which is from Boom Studios. It is created and written by Bowen McCurdy and Caitlin Musto. Art is by Bowen McCurdy. Letters by Jim Campbell. Cover by Bowen McCurdy. He's all over the place. There's a pocketbook variant cover, which is interesting. I'm not entirely sure what that is. I guess it's like a digest size. I'm not sure. And then they've listed the variant covers and everybody. But I gotta say this. I like the fact that they're really going out of their way to just say everybody that's been involved with the project. Like, it may seem kind of overkill, but my goodness, I'd rather have this than what we got for 75 years with the big two.
Amen.
Yeah. So anyway, the story is essentially what the title says. It is about a group of teenagers and, early college students who are doing a viral, YouTube video of essentially just paranormal investigating. And really cool off the bat, just observation is the color scheme. See if I can get here. So it kind of walks you through just the town that they're going to. There's the building that's haunted, and it's just we get introduced to this group of kids, and the lead character is really excited, really trying to build everybody up, and everybody else is just kind of like, oh gosh, we're doing this again. And her big push is they just got real evidence of a supernatural activity on their previous video, and it has launched their series on YouTube, and they've gone viral. So that's just kind of a big plot point in this issue. And we go from this color scheme of just kind of dark and almost blue light, kind of like you would see on your phone. And then you go from that to this, which is just regular, during the day. And the reason that it's different is because the story bounces back and forth between the night before and the next day. And I love how they, when you are in the timeline because of the color scheme, which I love. I think that's really creative. I think it's really cool. It's just a different thing to do other than just saying, hey, it's, then, now, or whatever. And so they pull up, and I don't want to give too much away in the story. They pull up to this old, it used to be like the town hall, and they're investigating. And look at that art.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look how pretty that is. Just great,
Beautiful
great color scheme. Yeah, excellent perspective, excellent angles, different, various panels. You're not just looking at a bunch of floating heads, because there's a lot of just talking in this issue. It's a lot of character development, a lot of just conversation that reveals a lot in the story. And you get a little bit of love interest here with the two guess kind of the two leaders of the group. And they expand upon that. One of them gets frustrated and walks up to the roof, and the other one follows. And while they're up there, it is revealed that the girl with the blue hair actually faked the supernatural occurrence in their previous video that got them to go viral. And the main character, she is just pissed and crushed because, like, to her, it's all about being authentic. It's all about being genuine in this search, and they actually saw something, and now it turns out to be fake. And so while they're up there, they get into a fight, and the girl with the blue hair just passes out. And now we flash forward to the next day, and we stay there. And I'm not going to tell you what happens after that because I think you should go get it, because it is excellent. The story is fantastic. If you really want to find out what happened to Blue Hair Girl, it's worth your money. I don't
think my shop has these books. You're going to have to tell me.
If only we had this thing that we're currently using called the internet with online stores. That would be
Comixology.
No. Right, or that. It's all on Comixology.
Where you can pick up the first 2 issues of the Zombieful World of Oz, one of the finest comic books ever produced in the history of produced comic books.
And if that is a promo, guys, I don't know what is. But I gotta say, it's a 36-page issue, and it only costs $5. So
nice.
It's pretty good price for what you get, and like we've been talking about, just the paper quality. The cover is just the right amount of thickness. Everyone, it's not too thick to where it's like card stock, but it's also not paper thin. And
it's what we call the Goldilocks book.
Yeah. So it's just right. And I will say this. Last week, I reviewed another all-age title from Boombox called The Last Witch. This is one of the best series I have ever read. It is fun. It is engaging, and it is so creative. This is not as good, but this I would say I gave The Last Witch a 10 out of 10 last week, and it absolutely deserves it. This I would give an 8.5 out of 10. It is still really good. Like I said, there's a lot of talking, which I didn't get bored with at all. All of it was well done. It was very well written. I cared about the characters by the end of the book. I cared about the characters in the first 5 pages. They did a fantastic job. If you're into just a little bit of romance, if you're into to spooky stories, if you're into some demonic horror that doesn't go too far, because again, this is an all ages book. This is right up your alley. Spectre and Spectres by Boombox. Go get it. You'll enjoy it.
Beautiful. Thank you, Brian Rodman. Appreciate it. Cool. And Doris Jones, everybody saying hello to each other. And there we go. Hi, Pops Comics, Pop Times and from Doris Jones Labors of Love. Check out her YouTube page if you would. And Sarah, I'm going to use your comment to highlight my review. So, Clyde, you want to go first, or you want me to?
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. I will do that. Thank you, sir. I do appreciate that, because I'm excited to talk about this. I really am. I'm fired up. Brian knows why.
Yep.
Like I said, I came back from the Imaginarium in Louisville, Kentucky, where Brian and I spent the weekend together. Read into that what you will. And came back to like a couple of packages that some of my Kickstarters actually came in. But we also went to the comic shop, and we may or may not review these in the next coming weeks, but we also got Action Comics annual number 1, Challenge of the Super Sons. Definitely, let's get digital, kids. And always good. The latest issue from Antarctic Press of Exciting Comics. It's a lot improved over the last 2 issues. And, of course, Infinite Frontier. There's so much going on. I think I'm going to need my thinking cap to read that. Or an extra cup of coffee. But this is something I'm really excited about. I came back to find one, like I said, one of my Kickstarter campaigns had fulfilled. And the history of comics, we all know about superheroes and that, and they've published Westerns and horror and things like that and love comics. But what we don't talk about a lot are humor comics. And there's been times when we've had some really, really good humor comics, such as, Mad Magazine, which started out as a comic book, Panic, which was a magazine that kind of sprung off from that with Harvey Kurtzman, with Al Feldstein, trying to imitate the EC company, trying to imitate its own success, and Plop from DC, which had some superb work in there. And Marvel had things like Not Brand Ech and Spoof and Crazy. Well, we've got one that I'm going to put up with them. And Brian Rodman teased it, but I hadn't gotten both of them before. But I got Floppy Cop. Floppy Cop is hilarious. It is written by Seth DeMoose, drawn by Seth DeMoose and written by and lettered by Dan Doherty. Now, both of these gentlemen have been on a past episode of Clever Tile Pending. Please check them out. And the coloring is by Milena Dineno and Lacey Barker. And cover colors by Anthony D. Lee. I think it's probably going to be the same on the second volume. Cover art on volume 1 is J.P. Fosgit, and this is available from Source Point Press, who have quite an extensive library of good stuff. The thing is, this is hilarious. It tells the overarching story of Pretzel Face, who is a master criminal who is terrorizing, and White Trickle Falls. WTF. and Floppy Cop, as we learn, and here we go. We're going to do this now, Sarah. Here we go. You're going to participate. How in the hell did the cop become floppy? It sounds like he needs a little blue pill. Well, no. What we learn about Floppy Cop in here is that you don't need a spine to have balls. And he's a violent, disillusioned cop, very much in the vein of like a Dirty Harry. But he had his spinal column stolen, so he walks it. He finally kind of flops around, and you see this lovely R. Crumb homage here.
Keep on flopping.
Yeah, exactly. Keep on walking, and we find out about what goes on in old age homes that you don't want to know about. Like there's one page here where they're trying to get one of the characters is leaving crossword puzzles as a clue to the crimes that they're about to commit. And so they go to an old age home because they know nobody's better at crossword puzzles than old people. I work on mine every day. And Floppy Cop gets one of them to cooperate by going, there's something in it if you solve these crosswords. And the old guy goes, what could you possibly have that we want? The satisfaction of outsmarting a bunch of kids. Kids are behind all this? Yeah. Youngsters, whippersnappers, millennials. And so, of course, the old guy runs in there, and the guy doesn't keep the front of his bathrobe closed either, just to let you know. And he goes, clear the sex toys and the suppositories off the main table. We have work to do. And one of the guys in the walker goes, those were suppositories? Uh-oh. So that gives you the tone of the kind of humor in here. It's very intelligently written. There's also another character I love. It's a person who was hit in the head, and he went to a coma, and he has the magical ability to enter people's minds. But he's good at hiding. He's called Coma Chameleon. And somebody trips over his body and say, well, I didn't see him there. Goes, I'm sorry, I didn't see it. Well, goes, oh, that was Coma Chameleon. Goes, He comes and goes. He comes and goes. And there is a little bit of rough language in here, and there's a side note with a ongoing soap opera as the pretzel twists. And I can't read those here. I could if Eric would review that first book, but I don't know about this. And they have the wonderful acronyms. Let's see. I don't know if I can find one. I should have marked it, but there's some amazing acronyms here, like the various support groups in town. This is wonderfully written, and Dan and Seth did a super job on this. The art is lovely. The coloring is beautiful. The pages are nice and shiny. And Dan did a super job on this script, and there's even a 16-page story in the first part that Dan drew, and without any clues left it for, or rather Seth drew and left it for Dan to dialogue, and it's wonderful. This is not for kids. Really not for kids. I'm telling you.
Really not for kids.
Mm-hmm. And probably I shouldn't be reading it. But you know, just to give you a clue, as everyone who's met my wife knows, she's a little more straight-laced than I am. He said, understating this issue. I was reading her parts and she was laughing out loud. Yeah. I was laughing out loud.
Well, because it's so witty.
Mm-hmm. It is. That's the key, Brian. This is genuine wit. And if you like something like Last Week Tonight, or the Daily Show, where the humor comes from knowing what they're talking about, mm-hmm. This is a great read. And there's a lot of, these are not small volumes here. They're like us. We got volumes, not just issues, but volumes. And I sat down and I read the first book in one day. Then I read the second book the next day. And then I reread both of them today. It's that good. Right. It is available from sourcepointpress.com. The first, both of them are $19.99 suggested retail price. Worth every freaking penny. If you like to laugh and you like your humor a lot on the dark side, then Floppy Cop is going to make you get excited. Anyway, I definitely give
Floppy will give you a chubby.
They do mention that word in here. And a few others. The language alert. Anyway, but anyway, Floppy Cop, if you love a good dark laugh, this is super great book, and they're leaving room for a third, which gets me even more far from Floppy. But anyway, both books, and again, you can get them through SourcePoint Press, and you should. I give a 10 out of 10. These are hilarious if you have that kind of sense of humor. But I also want to mention something else that I picked up yesterday that would be of interest for Captain America fans. This is not produced by Marvel. Now, I couldn't find in here who did write it, but they did an excellent job of covering Captain America through his 80 years. This is put out by Titan Press, who do like the Judge Dredd books, Doctor Who, and Rivers of London, which I think is one of the best graphic novel series ever. But they print a lot of beautiful artwork here, and they take you basically through the decades with bios of Stan the Man. That's how he looked in the 60s before he had more hair. And Jim Steranko and John Romita, and covers all the caps and how they came in. Including
Steranko's that really dirty artist who likes to draw guns and holsters, right?
Yep. I think he does. Yeah, he's the one. Yeah, if you need your phone left off the hook, he's the man to call. But he's quite the revolutionary artist, and it goes through all the various writers, interviews many of them, like Steve Englehart, one of my favorites, and then covers him all the way up through like the 90s. Told you so. Even up to the 2000s and to today. Even up to everybody's favorite Cap, Hail Hydra Cap. Anyway, this is a super book. And it looks like they have many. They're going to be coming out with more books like this, and I'm going to be keeping an eye out for some of them. Captain America: The First 80 Years. Happy birthday, Mr. Rogers! And definitely, I give that a 10 out of 10 too. I think that'd be a great reference work for anybody interested in the Star Spangled Avenger. So
How much do those
Very,
run?
very interesting that it wasn't from Marvel.
yeah, well, I could see it in one regard that it's a lot cheaper for Marvel, or a lot more profitable, I should say, for some other publisher to take the risk
I guess
on a non-comics book and to just collect the licensing money. Clyde, you ask, and this too is also $19.99 US, $25.99 Canadian.
Well, that's not bad. Guys, I saw it on the shelf there. I just didn't pick it up.
Yeah, it's real nice, and there's a beautiful cross representation of artwork, and not just like the main guys, but also like Sal Buscema. Alex Ross has a little bit in here. Paul Neary, who worked with Mark Gruenwald for so long. There's just a lot. This is just a well represented book, and I'm going to keep an eye out for that first 80 years for Marvel overall. And it looks like there's some more coming. Where did I see that in here? Oh, and this is also awesome. It shows all the shields.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Oh man. Cool. How can you call yourself a true nerd and not like get thrilled when you see that? But no, I don't know where I saw it. Oh, there's also a book on Marvel Studios, The First 10 Years. They also produce a number of books tied in directly to some of the Marvel movies like Infinity War, The Black Panther, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Like I said, though, my only kvetch is I couldn't find in here who wrote it, because I'd love to credit this person. The editorial staffer.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Really weird.
It might have been in like the company credits, but let's see here. Oh wait, it does say text is by Fabio Licari and Marco Rizzo, with additional text and editing by Steve Bailing, and translation by John Rugman. And so credit to all of those super cool people. But yeah, this is a lot of the studio stuff. Anyway, I highly recommend this 10 out of 10. So. So I got good comics this week. I can't always say that.
Do you remember, Brian, in National Lampoon, they used to have a strip called Timberland Tales?
Yes.
That reminds me of your Floppy Cop. The sense of humor, I'm thinking, oh, yeah, there's Constable Tom, rumored to have suffered a small amount of brain damage.
Yes.
There's Foamy the dog. And,
I love Foamy the dog.
I don't know that anybody really remembers those. Politeness Man, the strips that they used to run.
Yeah. And
suddenly a stainless steel handkerchief flies out of the darkness. Whang!
Yes.
He would come in and correct people's, lack of political correctness or sometimes just the way that they would, in a Gloria Vanderbilt way, they would not represent themselves well. So Politeness Man had to set them straight. But Timberland Tales, and the same guy did the Appletons. Those always were very adult, very smart, very funny.
I'd love to see somebody do a volume of those old National Lampoon funny pages.
Yeah, I have seen some of the more recent ones, and they just don't tickle my funny bone like those did. Those were really good.
Yeah, and I would buy a collection of Gay and Wilson's. This is going to sound terrible. I can't say it any other way. Gay and Wilson's nuts.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like Peanuts in a way.
Like salty nuts?
I lick spines, Eric. I never licked down there to discover it. But anyway, and like Trots and Bonnie, and I think I'm remembering another magazine, but Vinny Shinblind, Invisible Sex Fiend. who would like go into dressing rooms and stuff and have his way with Williams. Women's, it's like if you like your comics a little rapey, that's good. But also,
no one should like that.
40 years later, it's like I'm like, why was I laughing at this stuff?
Oh, man.
What was wrong with me then, and why am I
The
remembering
opinions of Brian K. Morris are not the opinions of the rest of the panel.
No.
Yeah,
If you like your rapey comics.
And I can hear it now.
How dare you?
We look forward to your emails.
Yes. Oh, wait. My computer is slow.
How dare you?
I was hoping Greta abandoned me. So that's how bad it is. So anyway, I'm leaving this alone. I've become a better person, honest. Not by much, but I have.
Sure.
At least
We
I recognize
believe you.
it. Yeah, nobody will buy that. Nobody will
We're
buy that
ready
crap.
to believe you.
That's yeah. Thank you, Mr. Ghostbuster. And from the desk of a small press publisher, I think my computer is running very, very slow after the numerous updates it's had to undergo. Only laughing on Brian, who can spin comments like that. Only Brian can spin comments like that. It's left up to me. I must fulfill my duty. And Sarah says, lick that ball-filled spine. This sounds great. Oh, my God. When we go to other conversations, hey, get out of my stash, floppy cop. Conventions, damn it, she says. That or the other. And let's see. Here we go. And Sarah says, so much want to read those, but I don't have online payability because my devices aren't wearing their moving on. I need to... I don't know what protecting themselves against the rain would have to do with it. Anyway, if you take me back to your house, you'll have to lock away the comics or I'll never end up going through your genealogy. A lot of people are ready to talk about my genealogy. Yeah, thank you, Clyde. Yeah.
Wow.
And we are... Yes? Did I hear someone?
No, it just took a while to get the pointer.
Oh,
Pointed
okay.
the right way.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I wasn't sure what Clyde was doing up there. He was just like,
He's just
I was like,
pointing.
I was like, Clyde, do you smell toast?
And Clayton Merwin, what's up, guys? No longer no squad. Good to see you. And yes, sir, we are doing well. Clayton Merwin, who did the cover to Pulp Reality #2 and many other fine, super fine covers at stormgatepress.com. And there we go. There is a great example of one. And Sarah says, Fabio worked on that. Wondered what he was doing these days. And Clayton also says, hey, Clyde Hall, Eric, and Brian. And Sarah is dying of laughter. Thank God someone approves of what I'm doing. And Davies Artistry. Hashtag Hawkins damage control. Damage control.
What I do this week? He's the one talking about rapey butts. I got good old-fashioned fun.
Yeah,
There
you go. Yeah, from the guy that was giving us boobs on, teasing us with boobs on parade in his first comic.
Hey,
them up.
Hey, I brought the all ages book this week. I just want to clarify that. So there's that.
And we're going to have to call Child Protective
Yeah,
Services
no heroin
now.
books this week. It was all ages.
That's right. Yes. Well, at moments like this, when we can no longer even see the tracks this show is supposed to be on, we turn to one man. Only Clyde Hall can save us now. Oh, Clyde, for the F love of God, please.
We're not worthy.
I'm sorry, I'm still in Eric's book. Please save us from our iniquity here.
What a great week for me to have chosen a punk rock.
Yes!
Punk rock story.
Yes!
I
All
will
hope is
say-
lost.
I will say though, I picked up the second issue of the 6 sidekicks of Trigger Keaton this week, and if you want to laugh, same way, very fairly adult, pretty adult language and everything, but this from Image and Skybound is worth every penny. It is clever. It is hilariously funny. If you like pop culture and action hero icons of the 80s up to the modern day, this is a fine read. So I'm not reviewing it this week, but if you have a chance, pick it up. And it's beginning to garner attention. And they're starting to, at my comic book shop, he's like, hey, I had people that ordered that this time. So Doom Rocket Casual Wednesdays, they talked about it as a pick of the week, I believe. So 6 Sidekicks of Trigger Keaton, don't get left out. Or wait for the trade. That's issue number 2. I think they have 3 more issues to come. No, they have 4 more issues to come. But my review this week is going to be from Ahoy Comics and its Blacksmith, which I thought was a very clever title last week, but wasn't sure what the story would be like. And I'll give you a little taste of the particulars about it here first. It is from Ahoy. This is number 1 issue, $3.99, written by Eric Palicki. It's illustrated by Wendell Cavalcanti. Letters by Rob Steen. Additional credits for prose pieces, which is something that Ahoy does. We'll talk about that here in a minute. There's a little story called Contactless, written by William Brashears and illustrated by Peter Bagg. And there is a prose piece called The Sill, written by Vicky Smalls and illustrated by Dan Schoenig. When we say illustrated, it's not a comic book kind of illustration. It is the kind that you would find in previous comic books that would have a prose piece and just one little panel of art to go with it. So the maturity level on this book overall is rated mature, but I can tell you that of the books that we have reviewed tonight, it is probably closest to all ages. They do have some adult content, but not very much. There's a little bit of heing and sheeing in places, but it is very tastefully done. It kind of has that Noir thing of suggesting more than it says. It's got a few naughty words, but overall they held back. I really like our cover art here. And showing off some of the interior parts. Ahoy did an interesting choice. They decided, because it's noir, to go black and white.
Ooh.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that this prevented were too many panels without background work, because that would have stood out. So the detailing is very nice, just I think as an offset to the black and white coloration. But you have some very good talking head moments, because there's quite a bit of exposition here to set up the story. And then you get into some of the more supernatural action pages.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
And to give you an example of the short prose that we talked about, there is Contactless, and there's the little bit of illustration at the top.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about Blacksmith. During the pandemic, we saw quite a few comic book companies that I had really enjoyed work from. Now, Boom would be included in that, Brian. Some of the others, some of them came through the pandemic pretty well. Others you really didn't see very much. That really seemed to hammer them and limit their output. And I had not seen very much from Ahoy. I've missed them, especially titles like their excellent Wrong Earth. If you haven't read Wrong Earth, it is worth picking up. I think they're on their 2nd series now. The 1st series was excellent. They also picked up Second Coming after DC decided they could not publish it, and I think it's a very worthwhile read. In my local comic book shop, Colossus Comics and Games in Mount Vernon, Illinois, put a copy of this Ahoy book, Blacksmith #1, on their racks last week. It was like meeting up with an old friend after far too long apart. That is partly due to something that Ahoy does, which most comics don't these days. They do have short prose pieces in many issues. Blacksmith is no exception, and the dual stories in #1 turned out to be bonus gems for the issue. The comic story, however, is the first chapter in a black and white series described as a punk rock supernatural noir. It covers all those elements well enough, and in its way is more narratively satisfying with them than many of the punk-themed horror tales I've sampled. Our protagonist is a modern-day PI, Janie Strummer Mercado. She's just a working stiff on the trail of unfaithful husbands in pursuit of photogenic evidence and a payday. Strum, as her friends call her, also happens to be a lycanthrope, a shapeshifter. In everyday parlance, She's an LA werewolf and part of a thriving subculture of magical creatures, making the City of Angels their home. When a member of a white supremacist group targets her with a silver bullet, it places Jamie and her Jinn assistant, Ben Sela, into a mystery with origins rooted in biblical times.
Interesting.
Yeah, last week on CBS, we mentioned the 1970s run of Marvel's Werewolf by Night. Well, between their California settings, their werewolf protagonists, and the shared mystical undercurrents running darkly beneath all that sand and surf, there's a certain kinship between, I think, Blacksmith and Jack Russell's Bygone series. You just swap out the beautiful people, me generation tilt of the 1970s and put in modern excesses eschewing unrefined souls clinging to everyday urban grime as their natural order. Eric Palicki's pacing on the story works quite well. He introduces the reader to Strummer's world and evokes a solid feeling of outsiders banded together, making their own family, when their differences alienate them from other more traditional relationships. Exposition is folded into the storyline nicely, delivering a flow of information sufficient but not overpowering. And there's action accompanying the discussions. And in the last act of the book, a prospective client named Mr. Black arrives, giving the title its clever name. The final page also brings a noteworthy surprise and drops a set piece for next issue's Shadowy Deeds. The book's dark humor and askew view of our reality as impacted by the otherworldly it's worthy of punk horror movie classics like Repo Man and Return of the Living Dead. And now, just out of the blue, this came to me. I want a Dark Horse Ahoy crossover Halloween special. I want to see Count Crowley, Reluctant Midnight Monster Hunter, and Strummer Mercado because their cinematic vibes would jam well together. So if any of you are listening, creative teams, make that happen. That'd make me a very happy Halloween person. Wendell Cavalcante's pencils and inks feel justifiably punk and noir by being achingly beautiful while never veering far from the seamier sides of reality. He makes the workaday Los Angeles world imperfectly feasible, and he delivers tantalizing glimpses of our heroes with their mortal seemings slipped aside or pushed aside. I'm anxious for more of those glimpses at the magical creatures just below Ben and Strummer's skin. The lettering by Rob Steen flows everything along handily. It has a workaday feel, reflecting the sort of story that his words are relating. There's a repetitious quality to the minimal and infrequent sound effects. But once again, that works here because Strummer's LA is where everyone, bad guys are good. They expire with an unsurprised whimper, not a cinematic bang of pyrotechnics. And that's what the special effects fonts kind of give you. The story of a magical underground existing in concert with an urban human setting is not new. And one could argue that nothing in number one really breaks any new ground of similar stories told there. Strummer and Ben seem like logical denizens of Jim Butcher's Dresden Files. They'd likely fit into a modern supernatural citizen Chicago that he's created in his work. It's too early to tell whether the creative team will be deviating from more familiar footpaths between our world and the great beyond as their story evolves, but they're off to a very admirable start otherwise. Now, on to the prose pieces. And Contactless, written by William Brashears and illustrated by Peter Bagg, made my heart sing. It is as perfect as it is brief. It's a snapshot bit of pandemic flash fiction that should, by all rights, be nonfiction. My hope is that it's based on a real-life incident. I needed this story, and while I didn't expect to find it in a horror-themed comic, it was welcome. It would have been welcome from any source. The Sill, written by Vicky Smiles and illustrated by Dan Schoeneck. Now that does fit the horror elements of this title, and it lets us glimpse the relationship between a jaded bartender and one of his lonely regular customers. Just a couple of ordinary Joes, one earning a living slinging drinks and the other catching them as a measured way of forgetting while waiting anxiously for an old flame to rekindle. Both these stories were perfect additions to the book and lent that special Ahoy Comics flavor to the mix. Not all my comics need prose stories, but when they're there, I want them to be this quality. With their groundwork laid down and the introduction's complete, the creative team has ample reign and free opportunity, or any combination of those words you want to throw together, to explore all manner of supernatural Los Angeles is consisting of in the storyline. There's the lycanthrope route that they can examine, and whether it's a Kurt Siedmach, Larry Talbot cinematic curse, or if it's based on other bits of shifter folklore. Even more interesting, we'll likely get some details on the jinn nature of Ben, with the Sela version of the jinn generally being a subclass more like a deceiving will-o'-the-wisp than an aspiring licensed private investigator. And along that path, I want to know how these two unlikely partners became a private investigations firm in 21st century La La Land. And there's also the matter of a last page arrival that we've mentioned before, and how Mr. Black plays into the plot of monster hunting xenophobes targeting our she-wolf for elimination. My score on Blacksmith #1 is a very solid 7 out of 10.
Wow. Nice.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned Dresden Files, Clyde, because that was the vibe I was getting. So
Very much.
yeah, I think you just convinced me to go pick this up.
Yeah, seriously, and I love the idea because of the text pieces, because those were in almost all the comics I grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because of the second class mailing privileges at the time. And I've been involved in the comic or two where we had text pieces, kind of a salute to those older times, and that's part of how I learned to read. So
yes,
that's and thing.
That's one thing that they have had from the very beginning. Not all their books really tickle me, but always those stories, those prose stories, they tend to be written by very good writers, and it's not like some kind of a throw-in just to take up space or to make the main story shorter. They carry a punch or a laugh every time, and these they delivered big time.
Well, I think I've heard of the author of the guy who was with Peter Bagg.
I
can't remember. It was so long ago.
Yes, William Brashears.
William Brashears. Yeah, I think I've heard of him. I've heard of him. So very cool. Very cool. Thank you, Clyde. And we've got some comments here, and we've got a couple questions, and we will go through them, I think, before we go. And Ted Davies Artistry loves Geiger, by the way. And
I really like that book.
Yeah, and he also says, so refreshing. I bought a Vertigo book, by the way. I remember those. And Brian Hawkins says, what, a week without a review of a book from the Big Two? That's right.
Yep.
For all the people who think I read nothing but DC, I just didn't get around to reading those. Anyway, I bought no books from the Big Two for the third straight week. Feels weird, but there's not anything jumping out at me from them lately. Well, it's there's nothing wrong with that feeling of isolation from the big companies, because they know who their audience is, and there may come a time when we're not part of it. And Sarah reassures us all in times of darkness that it's always Halloween.
Indeed. I will say really quick, I will jump in and say next week, I will be doing something I've never done on here before. I'll be reviewing a DC book.
Elizabeth, this is the big one.
Because Batman 89 comes out next week.
Oh yeah,
and I think Superman 78 too, Brian. I'm not sure if I remember that correctly, but yes, indeed.
Well, I know also next week, according to my local comic shop, Blue Moon Comics in Lafayette, Indiana, they said that Superman and the Authority with Grant Morrison will be released next week, and I'm kind of interested. I saw a couple of panels on Bleeding Cool today, and I'm kind of excited about that one. I'm interested to see where that goes, because Grant is into the omniverse idea, that everything has happened.
Yeah.
And when the story starts out in the Oval Office of President John F. Kennedy's White House, I'm on board. So anyway, Sarah, earlier we talked about the tracks. There were tracks. You couldn't prove it by us. And Clayton Merwin says, hey, Brian, Captain Hawkins and the Invisible Enemy by Charles F. Milhouse with my covers coming out this month. We'll keep you posted. See that you do,
Cool.
young man. That sounds great. And Kelly, I saw your question there. We're going to go back to your first one. And Doris Jones, Labor of Love, we will get to you after that. How's that? So while I am stalling, trying to find the earlier question,
I have a question.
from Kelly. Notice how slick this show is. Yes, I need a producer. Anyway, Kelly, who is an incredible author, she is represented in Pulp Reality 1 and 2, says, let's see, here we go. In a comic market that continues to flood the market with not so good books, what do each one of you consider to be the highlight of the comics industry from the last 10 years to the present? That covers a lot of space.
I have an answer.
I have one too. Brian, go ahead.
Well, I think there's two, honestly, that's side by side. I think in the last decade, we have entered a renaissance of indie comics that has just completely changed the business and has brought more variety to the table as well as opportunity. I mean, yeah, with more people comes more sucky books, but you know what? We've got really good ones too. Exactly. So, and I mean, 10 years ago, Source Point Press wasn't even a thing. So now we've got, well, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? But really, you know, we've got books that are out now that 10 years ago, I felt it too, baby. Yeah. But the second one, so the first is that I think that's the biggest thing that's changed in comics in the last 10 years. I think it's the best thing that's changed, best thing that's happened in comics. The second thing in the last 10 years, Marvel movies. Now you could say, well, that's not comics. It's absolutely comics because Marvel is now in, you know, and DC's good grief, they're doing their best. But Marvel is,
Bless their little hearts.
Right.
Look how low that bar is for them. That's pretty good.
Marvel has changed the way people view comics. They have changed the way that people, I would even say, read comics in many ways. And they've changed film in many ways too. Never has anything ever been done the way that Marvel movies have been done in the last 11 years. Or longer than that now. But how many years is it now? What is it? 12?
Yeah, about 12, I think.
12 or 15.
12 years
up there, I think. Yeah.
Is it 15?
It might be.
It just depends on how inclusive you want to be. When you had things like The Crow based on a comic book.
Oh no! I mean,
Marvel. I think Marvel kicks off Iron Man. I guess.
So like Iron Man, yeah. So
that
the
or
MCU,
the Hulk,
right?
The second Hulk.
The Hulk
movie.
sucked.
Well, the second Hulk movie did come out right after Iron Man.
Second one did,
so,
yeah.
They're not considering the Ang Lee film, so
I don't blame them.
Iron Man came out in 2008.
Yeah, so it's been 13
the
years.
difference between the two, 13 and a half.
Yeah. So anyway, I think those are the two biggest things that have happened in the last 10 years for comics.
Yeah. Well, I was going to agree with Brian, and I still do, about the rise of independent comics, particularly those that, a while back, if you wanted to put out a comic book, you had to get a paper route or something, or start selling your blood. Or have a rich relative that's on death's door. But now with crowdfunding, some of the horrible crap that came out in the 80s and 90s, dear God. But now we have crowdfunding platforms, primarily Kickstarter and Indiegogo, that are making books possible, like Memoirs of an Angel in the Nebulizer, making comics possible like The Zombieful World of Oz or The Ghostly Tales of Spencer Spook. I know. I bet Eric wouldn't puke if I licked that one.
Just look at that page.
It's staring back at me, Eric. Ooh, he's sliding it back in. Anyway, I would say that. And plus, if you want to talk about the mainstream, we do have a certain number of authors who are, granted, Theodore Sturgeon's law of 90% of everything is crap is well represented in comics. But by the same token, you have a number of writers who aren't afraid to shake things up. You know, like a Matt Fraction, who is I've read some of his stuff lately from Marvel, and you know, he's doing like hard sci-fi in some of those, like some of the Avengers he was writing. And then see, Eric is fleeing.
Eric quit. He said, "You said Marvel, I'm out."
Yeah, screw that hard. No, but you know, also people like Tom King. While you know the results are mixed. Oh, now we're talking. Now we're talking, true believers. Y'all, yeah. Everybody buy my Marvel comics. Buy them for the staples. I don't care. Anyway, but no, you've got some authors like Grant Morrison, who are taking some wild risks with some of the books he's writing, like the 3 volumes of Wonder Woman Year One. Very LGBTQ friendly, while still telling an exciting story that is kind of brushing up against like Miracle Man. And you know, there's just you've got a lot of, I think you've got a lot more risks being taken in comics now. As far as the writing goes, the art is getting a lot better in a lot of cases. You know, and again, there's still a whole godly amount of crap that is being spewed out by a lot of companies, but nothing says you have to buy it. And I don't. So I feel pretty good about that. So Eric, Clyde, do you guys have any notions?
As far as the big two, I feel like for me personally, anytime I pick up a big two book, it feels like I'm reading the same story I did 10, 15 years ago. I mean, I do see a declining state of art in most of them, and they're regurgitating the same stories over and over to call them something different. But the indie books, you know, back in the 80s, 90s, people from the big two or anyone who collected big two books, they looked down on independent books. They thought, you know, those people that couldn't make it in the industry, and nothing was good coming out of that. Then you had the Turtles come out, and things started to change then. Turtles, Cerebus, you know, that the Rise of Dark Horse and Image. ElfQuest, definitely ElfQuest. Now, as of today, it's I mean, it's so easy to publish a book as an independent author. Plus, all these smaller publishing companies are willing to take a chance on someone and put them out there into a comic shop. And you're getting so much more original stories coming from these independent creators like Brian, Clyde.
Hey.
But which Brian did I mean? May I call one of you Brian?
I think he meant you, Brian.
Yeah. I think he meant you, Brian.
So I think with the declining sales in some cases of the big two, I mean floppies, but you know the trades are up and all that other stuff's up. It was a great year. We mentioned that right before the show started. It's the independent market. More people they've seen how successful some people can be through the Kickstarters and crowdfunding and Indiegogos that they're giving it a chance themselves. And you just get so much more original stories out of these people than you will from, you know, Marvel and DC, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, very well said. Well, you know, in fact, you talked about larger companies. You know, Source Point Press is not a small company anymore.
Not
anymore. This book was kickstarted. You know, this was done through Kickstarter, I'm glad to say. And also some of the variant covers for Dynamite Entertainment were the funding for that came via crowdfunding. And look at Berserk.
Yeah.
You know, apparently they made what, like $1.5 million on that thing, and still wasn't enough to buy like dialogue. But anyway,
well, Keanu's kind of expensive.
I know he is the higher price butter in this case.
But you know,
so,
that's brought other let's say mainstream guys over to the crowdfunding side to see if they could do it. I mean, you got is it Campbell? I think it's Campbell who's been talking for years about doing something, but he doesn't know how to get to it. Yeah, you see him tweet about all the time. He doesn't know what to do. And he's worried about this and that. Jesus, I mean, you got people like me and Brian.
Yeah,
just publishing books. I mean,
just do it.
We don't have to be rocket scientists to do it.
It's like Shia LaBeouf. Just do it.
What's the Batman artist?
Jim Lee.
No, I would know Jim. I know
Tony
current
Daniels?
guy. Current guy, 3 names.
Oh,
Current guy, 2 words.
Did White Knight?
Sean. I want to say
Sean Gordon Murphy.
Sean Gordon Murphy.
He
right.
launched his own creator crowdfunded book last year, I believe it was.
Yeah,
Excellent.
exactly. And what was it? I think didn't Scott Snyder had something going on too. A few
Something,
months
yeah.
ago.
Oh, you know, like Rob Liefeld's got stuff out there, but it's still out there.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, trust me, no one cares. Anyway, Clyde, what do you have anything to weigh in on here?
Kind of an offset, a subset of the other things mentioned. Yes, Disney has knocked it out of the park as far as superhero comic book movies. CBS, our show, no, DC has actually done well television-wise. As a kid, not having access to a weekly show, I mean, we did with Batman and the Green Hornet for just a little while, and then not for years.
Nothing.
You know,
Cartoons, that was it.
cartoons, and
Saturday morning.
and you know, the cartoons that they came back with as this era began were really good. And then we got into live action shows, and you may be a fan of the Arrowverse or you may not, but Arrowverse started something that had not existed for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know
I would suggest
Mhm.
it was the Arrowverse. You are correct, but I would nuance that with Smallville is what is
Smallville.
actually responsible for the Arrowverse.
Yep, that's
Because
that's
I think because of Smallville, you got Arrow, and then from
Right.
Arrow, you got
true.
everything.
True,
Well,
and
I
it
think that's
survives
true.
even without the flagship show.
Yeah.
Either Smallville or Arrow now.
Yeah.
So weekly, having superheroes, and comic book fair coming into your home, excellent. Now we see in the streaming services, guess what? You have Jupiter's Legacy. You have these other shows. You have Sweet Tooth, which are based on comic books that are also coming into your home. You know, so big Marvel movies are great, but that is also a more personal, I think, venue that had been missing for a long time, and it's part of the explosion of graphic work, graphic novels, and comics into regular everyday life for people that may not be comic book fans. So that's important. Also, the fact that I think mainly because of the money that Disney has made, you have seen where writers that are not part of the comic book industry, N.K. Jemisin on Far Sector for DC with a Green Lantern story that is extremely science fiction-y, a really good story. You have people being drawn in that normally would not write for comic books, but they are. Keanu Reeves too, I mean, somewhat, but I mean, you get some really serious writers that are now applying their skills to see if they can do her case. I think she knocked hers out of the park. I thought it was excellent, but other writers are doing the same thing, so that's exciting to me. As far as the independents and creative folks, yes, you have independent comics having a new lease on life. I like this part of that people own their creations.
Mhm.
This has not always been the case, but in the last 10 years, that has paid it. Actually, before that, like I mentioned The Crow before, and some of these other independent books that got made into movies, Men in Black, some of the ones, the Mystery Men, all based on comic books.
Yeah.
And it had kind of a hook into, I'm sure they made money for the people that, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm sure Eastman Laird made a lot of money from that.
Oh yeah.
Millionaires now.
Dude bought a tank.
Yeah. So, but that has not been possible until, as we get into this year, and now we see more people credited, more people that are comic book professionals making more than just, when I was a kid reading comics, you had artists and writers that said, hey, we really need to be part of an industry where we have like insurance. And DC and Marvel said, oh, it's a shame you won't be working for us anymore.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now they're cutting deals, and people are launching from comic book creators to showrunners for TV and in parts of producers for movies.
Robert
That's very
Kirkman.
exciting.
My gosh.
Yeah. There you go. Yes.
Roberto Seguro But he's written some stuff for Archie, and then he went on to become the showrunner for Riverdale.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So those are all
Yeah,
things
that's
that I'm
Riverdale,
happy to see.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to see more mainstream venue for comic book creatives and the art form itself, for it to be seen by more people and appreciated by more people. It's a very exciting time to be a long time. I mean, we've kidded about this before, but wearing a comic book T-shirt to school used to be a really good way to get beat up.
Oh,
When
yeah.
Brian and I were younger. Now,
If you could find one.
Well,
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
exactly.
unless you were 6'2" in high school.
There you go.
So
Yeah,
you'd be okay.
I had to make my own back in the day. I got like the bottle of fabric paint. I painted my crappy comic book things. So my
mom took a red pen because we were poor. So I was like, "Can I fix my T-shirt to be like a Superman shirt?" No, you gotta wear that T-shirt. Okay, here, give me your pen. Took a permanent marker and did the Superman symbol on my chest, on my flat, and I ran around with a towel for a cape for 2 days playing Superman. Because that's all we really had.
Well, what we had was underoos. They wanted us to wear it under the clothes.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I'll tell you, I think Marvel's biggest mistake in the MCU has not been promoting their comics really during these movies.
Right.
Yes.
They have had the opportunity for millions of people to see this.
Yeah.
And people know, oh yeah, it's a comic, but show that somewhere. Show a little.
Right.
If you have the end credit scenes, throw in a mid credit comic book scene. Say, hey, look at these. You can find these at your local comic shop.
Yeah.
Or just like a simple throwaway thing, like all these, like how they're like, oh, Iron Man will return and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Just say, go to your local comic book store and find the source material or something much better than what I just said.
Follow Iron Man stories right here.
Do something. You're just like, we're just in movies now.
I think they have lost out on a lot of money.
Absolutely.
They have. Well, remember the George Reeves Superman, based on the character appearing in Superman and magazine and Action Comics. Batman 66, also gave a shout out to Batman Comics and Detective. Eric is absolutely right. And I think on the comic book end, and I've said this since, like the Christopher Reeve movie came out, the comic book companies, granted there's legalities, blah, 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 but they need to have a line of comics that are based directly on the TV shows, based directly on, yes, you hear thunder in the background. We're getting a thunderstorm right now. So
we're having tornadoes show up around the area. The wind's getting real bad. That's what Jennifer just came in and told me.
Okay, be careful, Eric.
So they're coming your way.
Yeah, we're getting them next.
Both of you, they're going right at you guys.
Yeah, well, I'm going to have to drive through this crap tomorrow to get to Berryville. No, but if I vanish, guys, you're in charge. And Eric, take whatever measures you have to. Seriously, okay? If
I just climb under my desk, put my hand, like we did in school. That's all you need.
Yeah.
Right?
That's for nuclear attacks, though, dude. That's for nuclear.
Oh, tornadoes for us too.
Oh, we didn't get the tornado training, so I'm sorry. So
Eric's going to be like, "Oh, we're fine. Everything's okay."
I laugh, but that happened to me during a broadcast one time.
Oh, no.
It was a year ago, right after we moved into this house here. Wednesday night, me and my brother, it was storming. I'm still going to head to the comic shop. Me and my brother left. I don't even get down the street. I get a call. The shed's gone.
Oh, crap.
It blew off its foundation, over the fence, across the alley, into the fence on the other side of the alley.
Oh, my God. Wow. Well, we've got, after the last tornado, we have come through here. We've got an extra trash can. I don't know whose it belongs to. I need to get on next door. Has somebody been missing a trash can for about 6 months? We know where it is. Anyway, but no. What I started to say, though, getting us back on track. Who would have thought that? I think the comics have missed a bet, which they're only now getting around to doing with like Batman 89, Superman 79. Is have a line of comics that mirror what goes on their TV shows and their movies, because people are going to be I could imagine people are saying, I want more X-Men. I want more X-Men. Well, he calls himself Wolverine, and they made a joke about, but what's this yellow spandex guy with the claws? You know?
Well, back in the 70s and 80s, they did that with movies, not necessarily comic movies, but I mean, shoot, Time Bandits had a comic book. I mean, all movies had comic books all the time.
Willow,
the
Last Starfighter,
Smallville, they followed up the TV series into comic book form.
And now that's going to be
a cartoon.
An animated series. I'm so excited.
Minus Allison Mack, but
well, you know, she kind of did a lot of illegal things, so there's that.
Oh.
That's true.
Brian, I am a firm believer. If you can have a comic book based on the syndicated Superboy show from the 80s, you can do it with these other shows too. You know, those were really, I kind of liked them when I was working in a comic book shop. Those came out. I read them. They were okay. You know, they were basically the continuity of the shows, but and you know, they look like Gil Gerard and Stacey Hyde. They look at the drawings of them, but that was fun stuff, and there's no reason why they couldn't do something similar but higher quality today.
Exactly. Well, we've got another question from Doris Jones, Labor of Love, and she realizes that praising us is a good way to get your question read. Well, I have a gaggle of experts. Where is a good place for a comedy toon strip that isn't going to care about profanity, nudity, etc.? If I'm reading that right, I would say there are various.
I don't know about Webtoon. I don't know how they are about profanity and nudity.
They're fine. Oh well, nudity. I don't know. You know what I would say, and this is honestly like, I would say get your own domain, start a webcomic on your own website, and promote it. I think. Yeah. I mean, you look at my friend Kaylin Smith, who is broken records on Kickstarter now. That's how she started off. You know, she started off, posting a series on her own website, and then she posted that webcomic onto a couple other sites as well for free. And then when she launched her first Kickstarter, she broke the bank. So I think that is honestly the best way to start putting stuff out there.
I would,
because you don't have to worry about any gatekeepers or anybody telling you what you can and can't do.
Yeah, another thing I would say to follow up on that, if you do it the way DC does, which is basically each tier of your strip is like a half of a finished page of comics.
Yeah.
For instance, the Super Sons is like that. So are a couple other things that DC's publishing right now. But if I can hold this up here, and I'm going to take the full screen so Doris can see what I'm talking about more clearly. Yeah, here we go. If you look, you'll notice that a page has that divider down the middle, that is running horizontally. This is one entry in the comic strip. Then this is, this is the entry, and then this is the next day or the next episode. Or they might put them out in like a bunch of 10, which I think DC does when you get the issues individually in the digital form. But you do that, and from an economic point of view, it makes sense because you're amortizing any and all of your costs through the webtoon or through the website, which, as Eric was saying, which is a very good idea. Or excuse me, Brian was, somebody here was saying it so long ago. I'm seeing
those two idiots down there.
We're the unit mind anyway. It doesn't matter.
Anyway, the two artists.
The underground.
Yeah, artists take it for what it is. Anyway, Brian writes. Anyway, and Eric has a great editor though. But anyway, you take care of your costs at the initial level, and plus leave a place for people to leave comments, which helps with your engagement and such. And people might give you help in editing, like taking out typos and stuff, or making story suggestions that you could follow up on. And then right now with print on demand, which is what many of us have used, where you can print as few as one copy, or some places have a 25 copy limit, but you're winding up spending about $2 or $3 for an average size comic that emulates what the big two are coming out with.
And that would lead into another question, wouldn't it? From the
I think it would.
Yep.
I think it would. We are. Let's see. What is print on demand? But actually, we do have another question, and Doris Jones. Let's see, or excuse me, Kelly Austin follows up without using any pulp hero. What would be your all-time greatest Golden Age hero, and why?
Wildcat.
Of course.
Wildcat is a DC character that he's sort of a bridge between the pulp characters and comic book characters because he doesn't have any superpowers until you get into the modern day where he has multiple lives like a cat. It's been a secret that he's kept for many years, but he is a boxer that was framed for a crime and that he didn't commit, so he became a masked mystery man in the 40s, helped with the Justice Society of America, the precursors to the Justice League. He is a very street level. He's like Batman. He's street level, but he doesn't use a lot of tools. He doesn't have a utility belt. He is a premier street fighter. The first MMA kind of a guy. Batman takes lessons from Ted Grant, Wildcat, to be a better martial artist and fighter. So he's also a throwback to a simpler time for heroes. He is a very square-jawed kind of guy that, what he says he means. When he's well written, he takes younger powered characters and takes them to school about what might and doing right as a superhero is about. He has trained many people coming up that are like legacies and proteges of the Justice Society. So as a teacher, he's wonderful. Has a certain degree of immortality. So unlike Batman, he doesn't have to adopt a Robin for 6 months so that he has all this teams of Robins and Batgirls that have accumulated, even though Batman stays the same age. And he is somebody that I latched onto early as Bill Finger that didn't get credited for a lot of his work on Batman. Mm-hmm. Did get credited for being part co-creator of Wildcat. That struck home with me early on, and Wildcat became one of my favorite characters through the 100-page super spectaculars that reprinted the Golden Age heroes. So that's my answer.
Nice.
I like that.
I gotta say, I never really got into a lot of the Golden Age comics, but the ones that I did were probably the ones that my dad had, which I'm thinking of like Sergeant Fury and the Howling Commandos. Mm-hmm. But I really dig the Invaders. The original Human Torch is the android, and Captain America and Submariner. Mm-hmm. I love Submariner. Where is he in the MCU? That's what I want to know. So
under the water.
Gosh, I hate you.
He's a giant dick under the water.
I know he is. He's such a jerk, and I love it.
Yes.
Man,
he is such an anti-hero. When you see his early exploits, you're like, he's got to be one of the first, or at least the best written anti-heroes.
Oh, he was definitely the best written. I mean, Batman was probably the first, but in the comics, I would actually say probably, I don't know, would you say the Shadow was probably the first real anti-hero to come out in like pulps and comics?
Pulp hero. Well, actually, it was a radio hero before he was pulp. But it's one of those things where vigilantes. They're all vigilantes. Batman was a vigilante. It's just that the Shadow would put like about 6 rounds of lead into you. Then
man,
what you're doing there. Whereas Doc Savage would not. Doc Savage was more like Superman with a code versus killing. Mm-hmm. But I would say he certainly was one of the great models because look at how he inspired Batman, for instance, and a gaggle of other, not just pulp characters, but also regular comic book characters. Mm-hmm. That just had the trappings of superheroes, like the Black Hood from MLJ, now Archie. Mm-hmm. He, in fact, that character also had his own 3-issue pulp magazine for a while.
Well, and Zorro.
Oh yeah, Zorro by
Yeah.
Macaulay Johnson. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That was a pulp hero.
Mhm.
As for me, I would say I have two actually. One is Superman, especially those old ones by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, because there was like this really incredible manic energy about them. And if you ever read like Action Comics #1, it starts out with Superman chasing down a wife beater. You get to see his secret identity, and then he's like, by the end of the thing, he's out racing a flood to save Lois, and then he's dangling some criminals off of a high tension wire to get some information out. That's nowadays in comics that'd be like about 2 years worth of story just there.
Now was that around the time where he could like blow out the sun?
No, this is long before that. This was when he was introduced as, and Clyde can back me up on this, that he could leap like an eighth of a mile.
Mhm.
Okay,
He could
didn't
outrun
fly.
an express
Yeah.
train, and nothing less than a bursting shell could penetrate his skin.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's so funny. I was watching the old Max Fleischer cartoons the other day,
yes.
and I totally forgot that they always do the openings before every episode, like of his origin story. Essentially, I forgot that at a certain point, he was actually raised at an orphanage.
Mhm.
In those series. I was like, oh, I forgot about that, because they change him up every now and then. But one of the openings said that he was, somebody found him and drove him to an orphanage.
There's been some comic book adaptations where the Kents turned him over to the orphanage, and then came and
Picked him up.
Well, they applied and were accepted as adoptive parents for him officially. Because by the time the orphanage was like, good, here, take him, because there's something not right about this kid. I'm telling you.
Like we can't give this kid any shots, and he's holding the doctor up over his head and shaking him like a pair of maracas. So But my other one would be Skyman, and not just because I wrote a book about him either. Seriously, if you go to someplace like comicbooksplus.com, you can read the entire Big Shot Comics run of Skyman, and he's one of those great characters. He's got a sense of humor. He's like a swashbuckler. And some of his stories are just like really, really weird. Like finding Hitler is hiding out on Mars after the Second World War. But one of my favorite stories is where, and of course he's got Fawn Carroll, who's trying to figure out whether he is Alan Turner or not. And there was one episode where Skyman is, and she vacillates on this. She isn't sure whether he is Alan Turner because he's a jerk, or whether he is Alan Turner because Alan Turner shows signs every now and then of having a spine, unlike Floppy Cop. But in one episode, Skyman is given a shot of truth serum. And he's asked, well, what is your secret identity? He goes, I'm Alan Turner. And she goes, and she's, oh my God. And she runs out of the place. And, her friend is like, well, why are you so upset? She goes, I'm not upset. I'm trying not to laugh in front of him. How the hell could Skyman be Alan Turner? The two are completely different people. There's no way he could be Alan Turner. That's how I know he's faking. He's going to rescue us. And, there's Skyman about an hour later goes, oh, my God, I hope nobody heard me say that I was Alan Turner. Oh, jeez. So yeah. So those are mine.
Excellent.
Did we get everybody?
No.
Eric.
No, I was trying to find a Skyman panel that I found really funny, and I can't find it. He's like trying to break in a door, and he's like, I smell gas. I know what you're doing in there. And I can't find it. I had it saved for a long time. And I can't.
Oh, no. We got to find that. Damn, that could be our new graphic to start out the show.
Darn it. Mine would be Captain Marvel.
Oh, yes.
Though I never read the old comics or anything, but I was introduced to Captain Marvel through the old TV series.
Oh, yes.
Which, I'm sure if I tried to watch it now, it'd be horrible.
Don't do it.
That's what introduced me to it. That and was it the other show that came on right
Legends
after
of Isis.
ISIS.
Can we say that? I didn't want to say it.
Yeah.
ISIS.
I did not want to say it. That could just get you knocked right off the internet.
It's not that ISIS.
It's not, yeah.
But it doesn't matter.
Good one.
They look for words.
I guess.
But yes,
The
I
one
used to
with
watch
the gal
that.
with the legs that ran up to her armpits. Yeah.
that, I watched that, and it kind of got me interested in comics, and that's then to learn more about that character and stuff. So that'd be me. Yeah.
Chosen from among all others by the immortal elders Solomon, Hercules, Atlas, Zeus, Achilles, and Mercury, Billy Batson and his mentor travel the highways and byways of the land on a never-ending mission to right wrongs, develop understandings, and seek justice. In times of dire need, young Billy can be granted power by the immortals to summon awesome forces at the utterance of a single word. Shazam!
Shazam!
A word which transforms him in a flash into the mightiest of mortal beings, Captain Marvel. That show, perhaps?
And every time anybody says Shazam, all I can hear in my head is Shazam.
Shazam.
Yeah.
That was the other show.
Yeah. And like I say, the real John Davey is one of my Facebook friends, and we're glad to have him. But yeah, it's like I remember one time I was in my teens when that show had just started running, Clyde, and it was a rainy night, not unlike this. And I was standing on the back porch of our house, and every kid has done it that knows about Captain Marvel. And it was kind of raining gently. And I got the pose up, and I looked up and I yelled, Shazam! And suddenly there was a bolt of lightning and scared the bejabbers out of me. Also about 2 pounds of waste. But anyway, you say,
Brian, could I share a screen with you real quick?
Sure, by all means. As the show comes to a dead halt. There it is. Okay, add it to the stream. And
nice.
Poor girl couldn't even take a dump without him knowing.
Oh my God. That is awesome. Eric, please send that to me.
I will.
That's hilarious.
There you go.
And of course, my first thought is, if he knows this, why is he trying to get in there?
Skyman likes some weird stuff. I don't know.
So, yeah. Okay, I like Superman. I feel a little better about that now. Let's see. Here we go. And Sarah prefers waiting for a comic to become a trade paperback, at least when or if it's going to be available. If it's something from the big companies, it's almost inevitable. There are some exceptions, but not a whole lot. Brian Hawkins says, next week I'll be getting a Marvel book, Moon Knight.
That's what I'm reviewing.
That's right. These guys have staked out their territory already. And also, crap, I'll be getting Batman 89 too and Superman 78. Yes, it is. Yes, you will. And Sarah asks a question. Is it more expensive to create a trade paperback for the independent comic creators than, say, maybe a floppy?
It's Brian. It's fairly cheap, isn't it?
Let me see.
Actually, yes, I think so. Well, Brian, having produced one, can give us a definitive answer. But
both. I would say, it is cheaper to do a trade, it is cheaper to do a floppy. Yeah, for sure. But
mostly because of the lower page count,
right?
Correct?
Exactly, and. So
but you can create a trade very affordable and competitive with a $20 trade from Marvel DC.
And I would say the first Kickstarter we ever did was our trade paperback. So, we built a fan base, and then we did the trade on Kickstarter, and it did very, very well. I mean, the trade on Kickstarter, we didn't know where to start. We initially our goal was $2,000, which was not enough. And then we ended up getting over 5, close to 6. Cool. So it just I think whatever route you go, definitely pursue doing some kind of crowdfunding. I would suggest Kickstarter, just because I've had the most success there, and there's a lot of really cool tools to use that can help your Kickstarter campaign.
And also there are various strategies of using not just Kickstarter, but also Indiegogo.
Absolutely.
And the two have differing strengths.
Kickstarter's catching up to Indiegogo, I think, with the add-ons now, which they didn't have when we started doing Kickstarter. Those are cool. The only thing I do not like about Kickstarter, and I prefer Kickstarter over Indiegogo, it's the surveys you have to send out.
Oh, gosh,
to get
Yes.
Yes.
People should have to fill that out
immediately.
With the credit information.
Yeah.
I don't understand why we do the Kickstarter surveys. It doesn't make any sense. And honestly, like I still have people from 2 campaigns ago who I'm waiting for them to fill out their surveys so that I can get their address.
7? No,
Wow.
I thought it was 6. 7 from last year's.
Yeah. And I'm like, I can't send you, and I've emailed them and they don't respond. And I'm like, if they would have had that at the beginning when they checked out.
Yeah.
But see, I mean, Kickstarter doesn't take the money right away, which whatever.
Which
but,
I kind of prefer.
Yeah, that's fine.
I've had to be refunded from Indiegogo from a failed project.
Yeah. Which that's fine. But at least a part of the initial checkout process
Should be fill that out.
Should fill out your address and all the information you need. I don't understand why they do that. That I would agree. That's the only thing about Kickstarter that I'm like, do better.
Yeah, because virtually the fees are almost identical. People will tell you they're not, but they are almost identical. I mean, it's like fractions of a cent different. But what Kickstarter is like Kleenex. When you're talking tissues, you say Kleenex. When you say crowdfunding, people say Kickstarter. There's more people on Kickstarter. It has a better search engine if you're looking for something.
And statistically, it's better. It has been proven to be better for comics.
Yes,
than
definitely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah.
Unless you're a hate monger, then you could do good on Indiegogo. And
Then
you're not selling out your books.
Then you've got your own little cronies to.
You got your cronies trading money back and forth and stuff. Yeah.
Right.
That's Eric Hawkins at
Eric Scott Hawkins. You can find me at Twitter at ES_Hawkins. Instagram, Eric Hawkins 1971.
And
or I'll give you my personal email address.
Yeah, BrianRodman.com. Send me your hate email. I'll throw it in the trash. It'll be great.
I'll read it out loud on the show.
There we go.
Ooh, we should start
make
doing
a
mean
show
tweets.
of that one day.
Mean tweets.
Mean tweets. Let's do it.
I've been getting hate messages on Facebook because I didn't like Black Widow.
Oh, I haven't watched it yet.
Really?
I mean, it's it's a horrible movie. It's not the best they've ever done, but it might be the worst. Man, it's not the worst.
Was it worse than Thor 2?
I think I'd watch Thor 2 more. I want to see a Red Guardian movie is what I want to see. I think he was the breakout star. Yelena, she's in like a saggy diaper the whole time. Her suit doesn't even fit her where everybody else's fits them. It just, I don't know. There's just some, 2
hours of staring at Joe.
I got some ScarJo out of it, but
ScarJo.
Actually, I heard not much of ScarJo though. Like I hear it's kind of, and I don't, like I said, I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard that it's more so about bringing Yelena in than it's
a real launching platform. Yeah.
Than it is for actually focusing on Scarlett Johansson, for focusing on Black Widow herself.
Yeah, it seemed like most of her dialogue was just one-liners though throughout the whole thing.
It also suffers from, we know kind of where the storyline is going to go.
Yeah.
It's hard to build a lot of tension or, how is this going to turn out, because we already
know what happens to her.
We know what's going to happen as it goes on. So that that's kind of something they had to work with. Not their fault necessarily, but I really wish we'd have gotten a movie like this, but a little bit improved.
Yeah,
like a few years ago.
I keep hearing consistently, everyone keeps saying this would have been a great movie 5 years ago.
It probably would have been. Yeah. People are getting on me. Well, you don't like it because they did this and this and that. You just don't like Marvel stuff. I'm like, I've liked all the Marvel movies.
I love the Marvel movies.
Some of them might be great. Some of them might not be too good. Yep. There's a couple that are iffy, but I've liked them all. I love all the Disney Plus shows. It has nothing to do with any of that. I was not impressed.
Yeah.
But it was okay. I mean, will I watch it again? Probably not, but I might watch Thor 2 again.
I gotta say, I brought up Thor 2, but Thor 2 is not as bad as I remember it being, because I just recently watched it not too long ago, a few months ago, and I actually, now that I think about it, I actually prefer Thor 2 over Iron Man 3.
Oh, it might. Black Widow might not be better in Iron Man 3. I mean, sorry, it is definitely better in Iron Man 3.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But hey, I'll even go back and watch Bryan Singer's Superman. So
I like Bryan Singer's Superman. I just don't really
like
understand.
a lot of it. By like
I don't really
scenes.
understand how he can lift a kryptonite island, but other than that, I thought it was a good movie. It's like he can because of reasons. Okay.
That's right.
Yes,
Yeah.
because the scriptwriter said it so.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, what's the next question? Let's knock
All
him
right,
out.
we've got one. Well, we've got a statement here from Ted Davies Artistry. The man shows his total humility. As indie creators today, we are gods, being able to produce our inspirations for the masses. How very benevolent of you, sir. Yes, he follows that up with a mwah. And no, the evil one is not messing with Wonder Woman. In fact, DC just announced today about 10 different publications celebrating the 80th anniversary of the wonderful Amazon Princess. And Joe, every time you invite me onto your to watch your show, Cookie says no because the Broheim thing, I think. But yeah, if I watch the show this Saturday, I will ask the question. And this, yes, I will try to ask you that question. And here we go. And yes, Ryan Permisson, who has gotten his lady friend's account. This shows true love that she's giving him her password. And Sarah says it isn't. Sorry,
is he in Facebook jail or something?
Not that I'm aware of, unless they're going after spammers again, like they do the rest of us every now and then. And Sarah says it's empowering to own your creations big time, and that Clyde had an awesome mom growing up. And yes, we did see the cat with Brian there. Yes. And Sarah says, I may not survive the tornado, but at least I was immunized. Good, she got the shot. And V for Vendetta. There is a good one. There's a good movie too. And no F words. Okay, that's cool. Because I think sometimes questionable words limit the audience you can reach. So, which is why I try not to use it any more than I have to. Anyway, Doris Jones says, thank you for the suggestions. That would be easy enough. And then whoop. And I love this idea. Thank you. I didn't want to be held back on them when I do the art or have to rewrite the comedy jokes. Well, there you go. See, and having your own website, you're in charge of that stuff. And thank you, says Sarah, for showing the break in a comic book, absorbing all the amazing info like a sponge. That's where we're here to help. We really, guys. And Kelly Austin says, I'm hitting you guys hard tonight. Love him or hate him. And I dislike Rob Liefeld very much. Here's the question. Did Rob Liefeld save the comics industry in the 1990s? No.
Image, I would say, I was going to say Image Comics, twofold. They kind of took what Eastman and Laird did and did it on a much bigger scale, which honestly led to where we are today. So in that way, that's great. But they also almost bankrupted comics in general because they put out 4 million copies of their issue ones, and then they were super inconsistent and they had no idea really how they should run a business. So no, Rob Liefeld
variant editions like we're
top
seeing
of all
now.
that, they were demanding ridiculous page rates.
Oh, gross page rates.
Which trickled down after they left to even mediocre artists want ridiculous page rates, which ended up hurting the comic industry as well.
Oh,
now, Rob was a decent. Okay, I liked his New Mutants.
I did too.
Yeah, I liked when he
Hawk
launched.
and Dove.
Hawk and Dove didn't even draw his own hands. He said that to the inker. But his art since the 90s has progressively got worse. And I don't know how that happens.
I think it's because he's Rob Liefeld.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. Yeah.
First pair of 501s I bought because I saw a Rob Liefeld commercial. He saved Levi.
Yes.
Yeah. Mr. 501 there.
But he definitely did not save the comic book industry, and he just kind of help along with the collapse.
Mm-hmm. But honestly, now Image Comics is in a much better place than it was.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Much better.
It's become very important, but it started off being
egos
and people that were given the keys to the kingdom because they could sell books and putting a lot of other people out to pasture that had.
But I would still argue it needed to be done, regardless of how it happened. I think Marvel and DC needed a big, someone to flip them the bird and go do their own thing to remind them, hey, there are people that will just follow creators, and you need to wake up to that. Mm-hmm. Now, what they did with that, that's another story. But I think that process
But the
breaking
alarm bell,
away.
the alarm
Yes,
bell that they rang,
absolutely.
that was, I'll agree with that. That
Yeah,
was very
right.
much needed.
Right, and also, Image also did not help because they also tried to disrupt the big companies. I found this out fairly recently by the page rates that they were getting. They were offering those same page rates plus bonuses to creators to jump ship.
Yep.
From the big two, but they said you have to do it right now. Like if I'm talking to you on Thursday night, I want your yes by tomorrow.
Oh,
or the deal's off.
Todd McFarlane's very open with the fact that he put that kind of pressure on Jim Lee. Literally the night before the meeting.
Yeah.
They like he I mean, that's a part of every time they talk about this. That is Todd McFarlane's stories. He's like, I pushed Jim to do it. He said those exact
Jim
words.
was their golden boy. We had to get him on.
Yeah, man. And he was like, no, you tell me in an hour we're doing this. So either now or never. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let's see, here we go. And Ace Bonnie, glad to have you here tonight. And let's see, here we go. And Amanda Helfer says, no, his girlfriend is actually watching with him. Okay,
that's
keep an eye on him. Amanda, keep an eye on him. I'm telling you, Ryan is awesome. We love him. And let's see. And for this small press publisher, did Image Hurt Comics then help it? I think now they're kind of helping it, but it's still to a large degree their business model, and I'm open to be corrected on this, but their same business model is being followed by like Scout Comics and other smaller companies, and that you have to have the entire art team assembled and everything.
Yeah.
But Image offers a bit more reach, and they have their own section in previews, whereas everybody else is in that green page area.
And I would say that Image Comics over the last 10 years have really gotten their act together. I think now it's less about ego and more about taking care of the creator and more about telling good stories.
Putting out some really excellent titles.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Really
Absolutely.
in the beginning, it was about egos and backstabbing each other.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
man. Yeah, they like a couple of them hated each other for a very long time.
Some of them still do.
They might, yeah.
I think Valentino hates most of them.
Yeah, that's true.
That could be, and he's the one that's usually cited as one of the more reasonable people.
Well,
at Image since Jim Lee left.
Yeah, he kind of got cut out of his role in Image, and I think he's still pretty bitter about that, which is understandable.
Yeah. But he's still there.
Yeah,
he's still.
Yeah.
So. Anyway, so hopefully y'all learned something about the history of comics tonight, and because we got this stuff, we've lived through it, we know. So anyway, and sorry we couldn't get to everyone's comments tonight, but we thank each and every one of you for taking the time to make those comments, and you had some great questions. Thank you to everyone who did ask about this. And maybe one of these times, we'll, if we can get all four of us together, we'll have a special episode on, just comic questions.
That would be great.
I think that'd be
a lot
great.
of fun.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, keep watching us because we are working on having a special live broadcast in the immediate future. Yes, Clyde. Yes. And yeah.
Slowly our plans come to fruition.
Yes. And the question becomes, are we going to tell the promoter or not? I don't know. Anyway, I think he's the only one we haven't let in on this. So, but maybe we can get me moved closer to you guys. Who knows?
I was going to say, I was told that you were surrounded already.
That's what I
usually.
Yeah. He said everybody wants to be around Brian. I'm like, really? First I said, is Rick in here? Rick's not in here. So I said, yeah, Rick and Brian, said contact you, see if you still had room. Oh, well then, no, I don't. I'm kidding. Yeah, I do.
So please check in with us. And let's see, here we go. Sarah says, if things I write didn't come true constantly, I wouldn't be scared of picking it up again. And thank you, Ace Bonnie, for your applause. We appreciate that. And Ted Davies Artistry, Fab 4 Rule. Be sure to check out tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Fridays. Drinking with the Davies, always a great time, and you can learn a lot about adult beverages should you like to imbibe, and also how to do it cheaply, which is how the brown paper bag group like me gets through the evening. But anyway, thank you all for your participation. Thank you all for your great questions and comments. And again, we're sorry we couldn't get to all of them, but I heard something outside. I was like, is that the civil defense alarm? Anyway,
I thought you just
It's a raid.
I was like,
it's like nighttime at Minsky's, I'm telling
Brian,
you.
is half of your face drooping? Tell us.
Anyway, and from the desk of a small press publisher, great show. Thank you, my man. You also have a great show regularly, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central on Saturday nights. Please check them out. And Kelly Austin says, hey guys, great show. Thanks for the wonderful answers. Last question, is Bobby Nash just an urban myth? No. Bobby Nash, if he didn't exist, we would have to create him. He is that awesome. You think of the Mother Teresas, you think of the Dolly Partons, the Dalai Lamas of the world, and surely BobbyNash.com will come up in that same breath. And he'll be coming back to Clever Title Pending real soon. And love you to the abyss and back you too, sweetheart Sarah. Sarah, thank you for being here. Appreciate you. And sorry we couldn't get to all your comments, even though they were as far off the rails as most of ours were tonight. But anyway,
if I'm on the rails, leagueofcomicsgeeks.com, you can see everything that's coming out every week. They have pictures that show you all the alternate covers. Check it out if you want to see what's coming out the upcoming week. I use it all the time.
Sweet. Ooh, I actually, really quick, I do want to plug this app.
Yeah.
Because it is fantastic. I don't think we've talked about it. Comics Hub.
Ooh.
If your local comic store doesn't have Comics Hub or Comic Hub, I apologize. Tell them about it. It is I can control my pull box right here.
Oh,
really?
Yeah. All I have to do is search. Now, it doesn't have every single publisher, so if you still want something that's not on here, you have to actually communicate with a human in your store. But this makes everything so much easier. It's really, really simple. And if you see here, I get my notifications right here of just all the orders that I've ordered, and then when my new comics arrive, it tells me, and I get to go through and search different titles, and I don't have to let them know every single time I want to put a book in my pull box. So yeah, so I would absolutely do that.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
This was the first time since I haven't had a pull list in I don't know, 10 years. I got an email. Something from my pull list came in. I was like, what?
Oh.
Of course, 10 years ago, I didn't need that because there was something every week showing up.
Welcome to the 21st century, Eric.
Yes. Yes, man, may God have mercy on your soul. Yeah, it's like when we had the lockdown, my comic shop, Blue Moon Comics in Lafayette, finally sent many of us email telling us, okay, you can come in. You got to wear masks, and told us what we had coming in. So, those days. And Brian Hawkins says, awesome show, end of the line. And Sarah asks, and we'll answer this real quick, what is a pull box? It is a subscription service. Basically, you tell your comic shop that I want every issue of, say, Superman, and then they will pull each new issue as it comes in and places it in reserve before it hits the shelves.
Or anything else that they might offer. Cards.
Yeah,
that's true.
Shirts,
anything. Yeah.
Anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can pre-order stuff.
Anything you see in previews, they'll put on there for you, or stuff in any other magazine they may order out of or catalog.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and my, like Eric said, my shop, Jeff knows me well enough that if it's something Superman related or related to something I've been reading that he's aware of, he'll put it back for me. Not always with the obligation of purchasing. And that's another thing. Please, when you do have a pull list, pick up everything you ask for.
Like if
Yes.
Brian went to my comic shop this week, he would have had the Action Comics #1 Funko Pop in his bag for $36. That's the comic, and
Ooh.
I did buy it. I did not buy it.
I may be PayPaling you some money, Eric. Anyway, and if we can, and it's a good thing Cookie isn't coming with me to the show this weekend.
You're going to be in so much. You're going to be in so much
I still have
trouble
to go
on Monday.
home, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
she'll kill me later.
Be sure to check Brian's luggage. I'm just saying.
Oh no, you're like that kid that reminds the teacher of homework. That's not cool.
Yeah.
And don't forget, Morris and I will be in Perryville, Missouri this weekend for Heroes for Kids.
Yes, we will, along with wonderful authors like Jackie Nelson, Kathy Jackson, Michaela Jade, and yes, those two, Michaela Jade and Molly Daniels, and Clyde, will you be showing up? Will you be attending?
In Perryville? No.
Oh, you were there last time, though.
We were, and we talked about it, but
I met Clyde there, and I didn't know who Clyde was last time.
Yeah.
You were Dr. Strange, weren't you?
I was.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. But no, it's a fantastic time. There are many great guests. Check out their agenda on Facebook. The Heroes for Kids Con has an event page and a regular business page. So please check it out. One nice thing is that when you buy a ticket, part of your ticket money
goes into Brian's pocket.
We'll go into their pocket. Yeah. Or mine if I'm at the counter. But anyway, they'll never see a penny of it. No, everything, all the proceeds, the profits will be divvied up between contribution to St. Jude Children's Hospital and Missouri's National Veterans Memorial, where they are building a replica of the Vietnam Wall at the park there. I think they've already started it. But it will be for the veterans who lost their lives in the Vietnam conflict who came from the Perryville area. It's a very worthwhile.
That's cool.
Two very worthwhile causes, and I think I speak for everyone who will be getting a table there, saying that we're very proud to be there and to support these causes. Also, there will be a writing panel at 2 p.m. Local time. I will be on there. We'll be talking writing and publishing prose novels. That way, Eric can stay at his booth and make money.
That's the goal.
Yeah, really. There we go. And
you could get something like this.
And you should. And yes, Sarah, one day you will be my booth babe, I promise. But as it is right now, I'm my own booth babe, so pray for me. Anyway, I think it's time to get everybody back to their regular lives here, including these three wonderful gentlemen here, whom I am eternally grateful for their patience with me. So let's go around the room and tell everyone how they can keep up with your amazing exploits. Let's start with Clyde, then Eric, then Brian. How's that sound? Well, I'm not giving you a choice because I'm the director. Anyway, here we go. Here's Clyde Hall. Tell everybody where they can keep up with your adventures.
Well, now that I've been voluntold that I'll be first, you can follow me on Facebook under Clyde Hall, or Radiating Positive Vibes with author Clyde Hall. You can find my work at Stormgate Press, where I'm a contributing writer right now. I have stories of my creation, B-Man, in Pulp Reality #1 and Pulp Reality #2, on sale at Amazon or at Stormgate Press. If you check out the Stormgate Press site, you'll also see things from Charles F. Milhouse, including the upcoming release of his newest Captain Hawkins adventure. But he has all kinds of good things on there, so check it out. And you can also find me on Twitter at CJ Hall 1984. And hopefully in the near future, we will be able to do a Comic Book Spectrum appearance, a live show. That is something that's in the works. But until then, you can find me every week right here as part of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network on Comic Book Spectrum on Thursdays at 7 o'clock Eastern and 6 o'clock Central.
Well said, sir. Well said. Thank you very much, Clyde. Eric? How about you? Where can people keep up with you?
Obviously Twitter if you want to brave that fire dumpster. ES_Hawkins. Honestly, I use it to promote. I might post a funny picture. I do try to avoid drama all around. Instagram, Eric Hawkins or Hawkins 1971, and you can find me on Facebook. Just look up my name, look up Stone Door Studios, look up Design for the World of Oz. You can find me.
All right. Thank you so much, Eric. Looking forward to spending Saturday with you.
Oh, yeah, definitely, man.
We're going to have fun. And speaking of somebody I spent last weekend with from the Imaginarium, there he is, Mr. Dignity himself, Mr. Brian Rodman. Brian, how can people follow you? As
My
well
only fans link is no. I'm Brian Rodman, creator and illustrator of Memoirs of an Angel and the Nebulizer, as well as 1/3 of the Dastardly Dingoes podcast on YouTube. Check it out if you like nerdy things, and if you don't like nerdy things, why are you here? What are you doing with your life? What's wrong with you? Change your ways. Join us. We have cookies. Go to brianrodman.com. You can find me and all my shenanigans there, all my social media stuff, my Patreon page, as well as whatever Kickstarter we are running at the time. Thanks. This has been a lot of fun.
It has been. Thank you so much, Brian. All you guys, you make this night it's always a joy to come here. I really look forward to doing this show every week, and we hope you enjoy it too. And I'm Brian K. Morris, publisher, writer, author, art director, floor scrubber, floor kitchen dessert topping, you name it, I do it. Anyway, I also publish my own line of books, and I'm also in other people's publications like Pulp Reality, also working on other stuff for other people, and I'm going to be at Heroes for Kids Con this weekend, also at 800 City Park Drive in Perryville, Missouri. Please come see us. We will be awesome. We'll make it worth your while, I promise. But now we have some thank yous to some other people, and as always, we thank Jeffrey Hayes and Plasma Fire Graphics for being a part of the show. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you. If you thought that trailer was great, you're right. They can do that sort of work for you too, as they have also done covers like this one here. My latest book, an Abraham Snow adventure called Snow Ambition, because ambition can be a killer. It's a 99-cent quick read crime thriller, available now on Amazon. Please check it out. But if you want great covers for your own work, check out what Jeffrey Hayes can do for you via Plasma Fire Graphics. Take a look at their Facebook page, take a look at their webpage, .com, and prepare to marvel and know that they are so very affordable. You'll be glad you did. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you, because it matters very much to your readers. Also, people that matter very much are my Patreon supporters. Patreon is a monthly subscription service where you can directly support your favorite creators, and we appreciate each and every one of these people, and they get stuff for their support. It's not a one-way street here. We do stuff for them, and we're glad to do it. So please check out what we offer at www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris. Also, thank you to the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. We had a premiere last night of The Truth Mongers with Ted Davies and Glenn B. Fleming. It's a really, really great show about conspiracy theories. Please check it out. It is so cool, and we're looking forward to future episodes. And also, we have your entertainment and information covered 7 days a week right now. Even as I speak, you can go to Joe Dog McKeel's page, Joe for Stupid O'Clock. That's right, Stupid O'Clock on YouTube and on Facebook. It's a very, very fun after convention hours discussion that you don't know where it started. You can't remember how it got to where you're at now, and you have no idea where it's going. But it's very entertaining. You will enjoy it. And tomorrow morning, we'll be back with Never Mind the Furthermore for your morning entertainment before we take off for Perryville, Missouri. And that's all I can think of to say, except to thank my co-hosts and to thank all of you for watching, whether you're watching live or on the rerun. We appreciate you all. Please, if you're on YouTube, leave a comment and I'll try to reply to you. We'll keep the conversation going that way. And that's all I can think of to say, except thank you for being here. And as always, stay smart, stay safe, wash your hands, and never apologize for being awesome. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you next week, next Thursday on Comic Book Spectrum.